Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV in our latest online edition here with our interviews. I want to say upfront also that this video is paid in on behalf of Fortuna Mining, and we want to get an update now from Jorge Ganoza, who is the CEO of the company, about Q2 numbers, strategy, fantastic Diamba Sud numbers, and the sale of those two mines. So we have a lot to talk. Jorge, great to see you. Welcome, and thanks for taking the time.
Joachim, good to see you, and thanks for the opportunity again to speak to your audience.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fortuna Mining, you guys have done a great job. Really interesting company. You are, more in the Africas, also in Peru and Argentina. But the thing is, you guys just published Q2 numbers, which we talk in a second about. But you had also great press release this morning with fantastic drill results, and that was also Diamba Sud again. So maybe you can comment on those results and what they mean for Diamba Sud.
Yes, this morning we released additional results on our Diamba Sud program, particularly results relating to the discovery of mineralization on what we call the Southern Arc prospect. For the benefit of your audience, a couple weeks ago, we published a resource estimate for Diamba Sud, where we showed that the indicated resource grew by 50%, the inferred resource grew by 90%. And this growth we have been able to materialize over the last 6 months, right? And the results released this morning are additional to the drilling that supports the existing resource. So we're quite happy. Mineralization remains open. We continue to see strong widths with excellent grades, 20 meters with 20 grams and of gold. So, we're quite excited about the opportunities that Diamba Sud presents to us.
Absolutely. I think what is also interesting to mention, if I look at your resource, which is fantastic and value creating, there we see, for example, in the indicated mineral resource, you have 1.59 grams per ton, and in the inferred, you have 1.44 grams per ton. Now you have drilled here 4.2, 7.8, 22 grams, 6 grams, 5 grams. I mean, those grades are much, much higher than you showed in the resource. So do you think that could mean for the future that, you even get a higher resource, but also that the grades are really going up, or is that specific for Southern Arc?
What happens is that sometimes a lot of these high drill results get averaged out throughout the mineralized body, right? And so it's certainly encouraging to see those broad widths with high grades. I would expect that mineralization averages out to somewhat lower, perhaps, but we need to see that, right? Southern Arc is certainly a new area for us that remains open, and it's quite exciting. And more importantly, it's helping us to see Diamba Sud as a developing project, moving from advanced exploration really into a development stage. We are aiming to publish a preliminary economic assessment by the end of October, and then move straight into a feasibility study for a construction decision in the first half of 2026. So if we add up the indicated and the inferred resource that we have published a couple weeks ago, this is already a 1,000,000-ounce deposit. So our drilling right now is focusing on conversion of the inferred and drilling for additional resources, which is what the news release of this morning shows. We're continuing producing high grades over broad widths. Mineralization remains wide open.
Yeah, and also I think at nice depths, because the most of it is in the corridor of 30 to 50 meters, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Very accessible through open pit mining methods. No, the project is looking really strong, really good, and I clearly see at Diamba Sud our next engine of growth. and we can talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it would be also my question: how many ounces do you want to see in the probably then reserves that you say, hey, this is now really a mine project which we want to build?
The threshold we set for ourselves at this deposit is 1,000,000 ounces.
Hmm.
And but we want to get to that 1,000,000 ounces, not with the view that it's not the cap.
Hmm.
Is 1,000,000 ounces with a path to continue adding more. And I think that's where we are sitting today. We have 1,000,000 ounces combining all resource categories, plus a clear path to continue expanding that, as we just showed this morning with the additional results from Southern Arc.
Hmm.
So I think we're there. We have reached that minimum size that we set for ourselves for this deposit to move it again to the next phase, which would be a developing project.
Okay, super. So let's start to talk a little bit about your Q2 numbers. But before we come to the Q2 numbers, I found it really interesting that you have closed now the sale of those two mines you wanted to, I wouldn't say to get rid of, but you wanted to sell, and you had like over, I think, $83 million you received so far. So first of all, what does it mean for the balance sheet? One thing. And the second thing is, where is now your strategy with Diamba Sud together? What do you want to do in the future? Because you always had like 4 or 5 mines, right?
What you mentioned is very important, Jochen, because the second quarter is an important milestone for us because we closed the sale of
Hmm.
two mines, which were our short life of mine mines, right? We had a limited life of reserves at those mines. So we decided to sell, divest of them.
Hmm.
And it's a streamlining of our portfolio. And parenthesis, with the sale, we are better aligning ourselves with our strategic objectives. And
Hmm.
we're also getting away from approximately $50 million in mine closure costs, and also refocusing management's time and attention from mine closure projects to growth projects, which is where we want to be, right? Uh, so to 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 the point of where we're going, and you know, in 2024 we had a annual production of 460. We had annual production of 460,000 ounces,
Hmm. Hmm.
and after the sale of these mines, our production goes down to about an annual rate of 330,000 ounces,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
So that might seem that is a decline, but really it's a step back to move forward. And what do I mean by this? We have in our pipeline organically a clear path to go back to 500,000 ounces. How are we going to do that? Why am I confident we can do that organically? Because we are expanding the Séguéla mine. Séguéla is producing 140,000 ounces this year. That's our guidance for 2025. And for 2026, we already guided that the mine is going to 170 to 180,000 ounces.
Hmm.
And Diamba Sud, which we just mentioned, is quickly moving into a development project.
Hmm.
So with those two projects, we believe we're well positioned to deliver again Fortuna, have Fortuna sitting at a production rate of about 500,000 ounces of gold annually. And it's all under our control. I want to stress that. And we're also very confident we can achieve all of this because we have the resources, we have the projects in our portfolios, and we have a balance sheet with over $500 million of
Hmm.
liquidity. Our
Hmm.
net cash position, that's a cash position after servicing all of our credit facilities,
Hmm.
is still positive $215 million.
Hmm.
So we have the projects and we have the financial means to advance them. So we're quite confident that we're well positioned to meet our strategic objectives,
Mhm.
right? That 500,000 ounce gold production annual.
Okay, super. So with Diamba Sud, I get the impression that you really want to fast track that project. Would that mean with that strong balance sheet that you probably can say, hey, you know what, we can probably get 50-60% easily as a credit, and the rest we can finance by ourselves for Diamba Sud to build the mine
No,
or out of cash flow?
we expect we should be in a position to make a construction decision next year,
Mhm.
and our balance sheet gives us all the comfort we need
Mhm.
to embark on a construction of a project like that. All the
Okay.
confidence we need.
Great.
I think that we can comfortably say that the project is de-risked from the financial side of things.
Okay, super. Nice to hear that. You also acquired 15% of Awalé resources, with which is owning the ODN project and other permits next to the in a geologic corridor that is of interest for you in Cote d'Ivoire. So, what is the strategy there?
Yeah, Awale, this is earlier stage exploration. So,
Mhm,
we were thinking of our pipeline of projects that will feed our next mine some years ahead. No, so we're populating, I would say, the pipeline, the base of the pyramid, with respect to projects that in a few years can develop and
mhm,
advance to a development stage. So Awali has a good management team. They're technically strong. They're frugal with their expenses and how they deploy capital. And they are in a geologic corridor that is of interest to us. Awali has currently a joint venture with Newmont, and outside of the joint venture, they also have a sizable land package.
mhm,
So this investment in a wallet gives us exposure to that good geology with that good exploration team that a wallet has, and again, it's not always it's not part of an active strategy for us to be making investments in junior exploration companies, but it's
mhm.
something that we will consider on a case by case, and certainly that's been the case with Award.
Okay, super. So also a nice addition for the future, I would call it.
Yes, yes.
Super. Yeah, let's talk about some numbers. You said it already, very positive quarter in that sense. I think you also had a record margin again with 55%, which is really fantastic. So cash-wise, profit-wise, everything looks really great. What is about costs per ounce in the group? Do you see there room to, yeah, maybe bring the costs a little bit more down, or are you happy with the situation?
We reported our cash cost is sub $1,000. No, on a consolidated basis, our
Mhm,
cash cost per ounce was 900 plus $929.
mhm,
That was our cash cost per ounce in the second quarter. Now, our all-in sustaining cost was elevated at about $1,900.
mhm,
Why was it elevated? It's elevated, one, because timing of capital investments through the year. No, usually in the beginning of the year, some capital projects advance slowly and then they ramp up. So it has to do with timing of capital investments at our mines. But more importantly, that high capex impacting ASIC is
mhm,
driven by the fact that the Seguela mine is going through a peak in its stripping,
mhm,
mine waste stripping.
mhm,
So, why are we pushing stripping so hard? Is because we're setting up the mine for the expansion in 2026,
mhm,
right? So there is no free lunch here, and we
mhm.
want the expansion in 2026. Well, we need to, set up the mine, remove the waste, so we can access those high grades that will enable the mine
Money.
to do
Mhm,
that. So, we're going a bit through a hump on ASIC,
mhm,
but it's not surprising. It's within our plans, and we're comfortable with that, right?
Okay.
Costs will gravitate. If you look at the AISIN of our mines, the Lindero
Mhm.
mine is coming down throughout the year to an all-in sustaining cost in the range of $1,500.
Yeah, I saw that.
Seguela will remain elevated at around $1,800, but then in 2026 will come down as we materialize the expansion, and that's
Mhm.
normal.
Super. Yeah, that means you are now investing for the future. And I mean, investment costs money first, but then you can benefit for several years. Very simple,
Very
right?
simple. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Super. I have one question about the Lindero mine in Argentina. How is Argentina now these days to work in? My feeling is Mr. Milei has done so far a very good job. And how is it with the capital controls? Because if I got that right, you have taken out $50 million out of the country, right?
The business climate has improved significantly under the
Super.
current administration, under Milei's administration, and it is the first time in this administration that
Mhm.
we have been able to materialize a repatriation of capital without any major friction on
Mhm.
exchange rate. No, so at
Super.
very competitive rates, we've been able to get roughly $50 million repatriated out of the country.
Mhm.
So all of this is positive. I think the message is under the current administration, the business climate has improved dramatically.
Mhm.
There are, I believe, still some uh, things that need to happen because
Mhm.
there are still some level of capital controls.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that creates friction to some degree for capital flows, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
again, we've been able to get money out, but there are some restrictions regarding when we can access again dollars for
Mhm.
imports and some limitations that in other parts of the world you just don't see, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
trending in the right direction, nevertheless, significant improvement in business climate.
Super. That's perfect. Glad to hear that. Let's move shortly to Peru with the Cayoma mine. There it looks to me like everything clean and clear, right?
Yes, that mine is the team. The team at that mine is always delivering excellent performance, and yeah, I think steady delivering quarter after quarter. Yeah, I always say there is no headache-free mine, but if there
Mhm.
is one that gets close to that, is this one.
Absolutely. Headache-free mind. That's good. I never heard that before. I thought there's always a headache. Super. So that means you have three mines you can now really rely on. Diamba Sud should be the fourth mine. I mean, with your firepower, I would call it, you have in the balance sheet, could you also imagine to say, maybe we do some M&A?
But M&A is a tool we use for growth, no? And as
Mhm.
I just explained to you, our strategic objective is to set up Fortuna as a leading mid-tier producer.
Mhm.
And that is a company that produces about 500,000 ounces of gold annually at competitive costs with
Mhm.
good mineral reserves where we can project the life of mines for a decade. So organically, we can achieve that. That means that the reaching our strategic objective, Joachim, is under our control. And
Mhm.
that's very important.
Mhm.
We do not need to go and make an acquisition to achieve the 500,000 ounces. We
Mhm.
can do that
Mhm.
from the growth that we have in the portfolio, the growth opportunities that we have in
Mhm.
our portfolio, and we have the balance sheet to deliver that. That is the cheapest, most value accretive growth
Mhm.
we can deliver to our shareholders. Having said that, you know, I don't feel compelled to make an acquisition to bring ounces. So
Mhm.
our search for the next acquisition is driven by value, no,
Mhm.
not by ounces. We're chasing value when we're looking at other opportunities. I don't need to chase ounces because I can deliver the ounces organically from the
Mhm.
portfolio. So we're chasing value when we look at other things, And yes, we are actively looking at opportunities. That's something we do all the time. But be sure that if we pursue something, it's going to be chasing value because we see deep value, not because we are urged to bring ounces because we cannot source growth or even sustain production with what we have. No, to the contrary.
Yeah. Super, super. I love that because I think some of those mergers we saw in the last 12 months is, whoa, I doubt it a bit because I had the feeling sometimes poor, a little bit overpaid. One I know, I think it's underpaid. But anyhow, I love your approach with organic growth, to be honest, because also I think it's the most value for the shareholder and also for the company itself and also the lowest risk because you control everything. I like that. That's fantastic. Super. Jorge, anything else you want to add on?
No, I mean, we have an exciting second half of the year ahead of us into 2026.
Mhm.
You see it in our news flow, quarter results, resources for the Diamba Sud, additional drilling for the Diamba Sud. You'll see the PEA for the Diamba Sud coming in October, more drill
Mhm.
results. We have also very active exploration at Seguela that's, continues to produce excitement for us, and we look forward to publish that and share it with the market. So you'll see a very busy news flow for Fortuna
Mhm.
this second half of the year, and stay tuned.
Super. Perfect. I like it. Thank you very much, Jorge. I wish you well and I hope you have a nice vacation and you can enjoy everything in the summer. And I would say we talk very soon. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Jeppe.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jorge Ganoza, the CEO of Fortuna Mining, and you heard it. The company is really going its path forward. Organic growth is the key. I like that attitude. I like that approach, and that is really fantastic. 3 solid mines they can bank on. Now with Diamba Sud really going. To my understanding, I would say this will be the fourth mine of the company. The decision will be done next year, and I think also they have some more stuff here into their pocket, which they really can bank on and work on. And Seguela also is coming down with the investments next year. So that's also fantastic. Really good investment for the future. Check out the company. I have it in my portfolio for sure. Thanks for watching us and bye-bye from Switzerland.